Well, we bring to you a first of its kind experiential segment, the AI into HR co-creation lab that will offer all of you a hands-on journey into how artificial intelligence can transform the HR function. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a dynamic session indeed, from discovering emerging AI applications reshaping HR to co-creating practical prototypes and frameworks. So this session itself talks about being an interactive hands-on session. So we need your participation, your interaction as well. So keep your spirits high. So with that, I'd like to invite on stage to lead the segment, put your hands together, for Mr. Balaji Srinivasan, Executive Vice President, Human Resources, Colgate-Palmolive India Limited. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Last section, and right after lunch, but hopefully, not hopefully, I'm very confident that it will be one of the most interesting sessions yet. So as we were working through the design of this workshop, Sonal, myself, and the HR committee, can you hear me? Okay. As we were debating through the design of the workshop, and you may have noticed that within the last 1.5 days, we have moved from leading boldly to working futuristically, and then this morning we talked a lot about elevating experience. So we thought, let us end with a bang instead of another panel conversation. What if, and this was a debate and discussion that we had, one of the ideas was, what if instead of creating another panel discussion, we created a practical hands-on experiential workshop where together all of us co-create something that is relevant to the topic, but also that is something that we all can take back with us, back to our workspaces, and hopefully something that will inspire you to do more in the same space. So that was the thought that came in, and then we started discussing how do we make it happen. And if I just go back and remind you the three big words that we kept hearing again and again in the last day and a half were disruption, AI, and resilience. Do you agree with me? These are probably the, and if I had a machine or a Gemini to record all the voices that were that was being heard, it would be probably these three words. So we said, what if we connected all of these concepts, around disruption, AI, and resilience? What if we connected all of them in a way to teach all of us as to how to navigate disruption and change by leveraging AI and by developing resilience? So that was essentially the thought we arrived at. And then we looked at who can help us do this, and we went to our in-house expert, Tarun. Tarun is the CHRO for Tata Consumer Products Limited. And the three of us, Sonal, myself, and Tarun, we debated. We came up with a workshop design, but we just didn't want to come in blind. We did a beta testing. We actually ran it with some of our team members to make sure that it's something that is practical, because it's something that's being done for the first time, I believe. So in a way, you're all guinea pigs, but hopefully you'll walk out with some positive experience at the end of it. So we tried it on some of our people. We got some learnings and insight from it, and then we've come up with this workshop. So I'm going to invite Tarun now to come and take over and lead the workshop. Sonal is also here, and obviously, we are here to support this entire workshop as we go along. Thank you. Tarun?
Good afternoon. Am I audible, loud enough? Everyone, wonderful. This is one session where you're most welcome to use your mobile phones. So if you want to look at it the whole time. The warning for you upfront is there's a small number, and Sonal will be looking at this at the bottom edge, which gives me real-time engagement of the audience. Are we clear? By the way, I happen to have an engineering degree. That's the only technologically closest thing that I have to this whole session. Nothing more than that, Bala. So otherwise, really just want to congratulate the entire CII team. Thank you, Sonal. Thanks, Bala. Thanks, Sanjay is not here. But the entire core committee that worked on this. And our idea was to bring this whole thing into some form of a confluence, but hopefully something that all of you can also work with us and take it back. And in 60 minutes, Sonal's going to help me watch 60 minutes. We will collectively try and do some magic, which usually, at least in my organization, takes 6 to 8 weeks. Are we good? Yeah? Okay. Some of the themes that I've picked up, and I was just making notes across, I think yesterday, Puneet was here, he spoke about the role of HR. I think that's fundamental. Disruption, resilience, a lot of us spoke about. I have been a management trainee under this gentleman sitting right here in front of us. He spoke about leadership. I can attest to the fact that he's outstanding example of leaders who have been navigating disruption, transformation, change, and even if I remember COVID as well, sir, was what we kind of went through. All of which I think us in HR can relate to. Let's now get into a bit of a session which I will just say two things you will require. One is I hope you all have a good internet connection and you have a smartphone, which I think is a dumb question, but by now I'm sure everybody in the audience has one. By the way, what is the AI X HR? Orko Mitra sitting right in the audience. He sent me this brief and I said, okay, I will appropriate this. AI X will mean accelerating HR. Those of you who have different versions of it, I know it also stands for explainable AI and all of that, but Orko, we will stay with that definition for now. Yeah? Super. First checkpoint. All of you, please scan this because the entire session will be done live on your phones because you can not only run Menti for Q&A, I will run the session with you on Menti. You can follow every slide, and why it's important is, as we go through this whole sessions, at some point, there'll be some fairly complex prompting, and I think you guys have heard about prompt engineering and some of that stuff. I've trialed this with some of you. You can safely copy-paste from Menti into the prompts. Fantastic. So Menti is working. That's wonderful. And as you can see, we have 66% engagement. There are 72 people, 75, 76. Wonderful. Love the numbers. Anything near 100 would be good for us for an afternoon session. Yeah? Keep it coming. Almost there. 93, 93, 93, 94, 96, 97, 98. Go for it, guys. One more. Yes. Thank you for the century. Wonderful to have. Clearly, there's a big crowd from Sonal. Well done. Capgemini, Forbes, HDFC, Colgate, Apcotex, Indian Oil, Infosys. Okay, what gives me a lot of happiness is that we'll have a diversity of thought in this room, right? Now, before I go ahead, I have one requirement, which is it is not all tech. This is about human beings. It is about HR professionals. So it's about humans in the loop. So I would request all of you to please come forward to the empty seats and have at least 5 or 6 of you on every table. Can I request you to please just come forward? It's collective learning and the diversity of every table is important. It doesn't matter which company you're from. If you can just keep coming forward and just make sure that every table, there are at least 5 or 6 of us, that will be most helpful. This is fantastic. I mean, we have almost the whole of corporate India who is joining here for a co-creation session, guys. This is exciting. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Really appreciate those of you who have moved. As I said, we will collectively in 60 minutes, now 59 minutes, try and do what we typically do in 6 weeks. What's the agenda? I'm hoping at the end of this session, we will go back with a shared understanding of what is it that we as professionals in HR can help organizations, and the word thrive, I think, was also used a lot. So thrive, volatility, and some super examples I'm sure you've heard in the last 1.5 days. This is the session where we'll try and utilize and do, and I should have not said hands-on, but more a mobile-on experience of running and designing your very own AI tool. Your very own AI tool. Can you believe it? It's free, right? No one's going to pay for it, no license fees, all happening in real time. And I'm hoping at the end of these 58 minutes, you will also have a sense of achievement of having really created something. Even if you're a non-techie, don't know anything about AI, that's fine. In this session, human intelligence and curiosity matters. I am sure this must have, can you just check, is this working on your phones now? It's moving, you can see the screens and the, yeah, perfect. That's wonderful, thank you. So now we are real time, and I did not use a histogram. Those of you who are familiar with charts, I loved this feature in Menti because it just brings alive the fact that every single person matters. I love this feature in Menti. And what it tells me is that, nice, I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate the fact that some of us are trying and we would love to kind of go ahead. That's awesome. And some of us who are already in the advanced state, guys, teach me back after the session, please. There's a nice little, okay, that's an interesting cluster. Wonderful. That's fantastic. Really appreciate this. And given that we're all familiar with some form of concepts, what I would just want to check in the tables, can you just check that all of you have used different kinds of tools, and as you do so, can you also respond to this question? And I was told to add Gemini, so I added Gemini in this, by the way. Gemini, whichever the way it's pronounced. I don't hold the license to it. You can check, by the way, as many as you want. I personally use ChatGPT, I've used Midjourney, I've used Canva, but please feel free to kind of add in what you think is your favorite one. I can see there's lots of ChatGPT fans out here. Gemini clearly is doing some good advertising out here. Midjourney, okay. Jasper AI, interesting. Must be the advanced users. Copilot. Canva, clearly, I'm sure all of us have done presentations. This should speed you up. By the way, if you're not aware about that, next time your boss wants a presentation, use Canva. Perplexity, those of you who have used it, I'm sure you'll know why you've used it, but some of us have done degrees of research in certain areas, so I'm sure why you would use that platform. Okay. And I think the engagement levels are fantastic. Really appreciate all of you guys. I think mobile first helps, guys, really. Huh? Last responses, and I'm going to move ahead. Now, I think this is now a question that I don't need. I presume everybody in the room has your own favorites. I've again mentioned ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude, whatever is your favorite tool, so that every table out here has one. The reason I'm again asking is because I will encourage some conversation, because various tools give us some degree of variability in terms of responses. And I can't do it on the system, but you can do it on your tables. Yeah, so there are segments when I'll kind of pause, and I'm just request you to please, on your tables, try and discuss these aspects. Now, if I were to kind of just give you a breakdown of the entire session, it's just basically 3 parts. The first part is I will walk us through basics of prompts, and this is by the way going to be a bit of a skill test. The second part is I will try and, we will in the room, by the way, try and address a very real-life-ish case study, live, real time. We will try and draw, and I've used, for sake of time, I've used dummy data. We will try and draw insights from the data. We will try and, from that insight, try and create some actionables. We will try and use psychology and behavioral science. And at the end of it, we will then leave you at the end of this session with at least 3 asks, which I'm pretty sure you will tomorrow morning go and action. Now, I'm sure those of you who are already pretty queued up must be answering this question on this. Oh, love it. The difference between a Gen AI and a normal search engine is like a cycle and a motorcycle, okay? That's profound. Any more? Now, what you need to do for this is, those of you who are beginners in this, is try and run a prompt in your favorite GenAI tool, pick the answer from that, and just copy paste into the text box in Menti. Those of you who are intermediates, probably you're already trying multiple various tools. That's okay. Please try and restrict your prompt. Give the prompt, and output should deliver not more than maybe 140 or 150 characters. That'll be helpful. Those of you advanced, keep at it. All right, so traditional search engine helps you find information. Generative AI helps you work with information. Advanced and more advanced, link and actionable answer. How would you explain the difference between Genie AI and traditional? Okay, that's interesting. You probably need to go back and check once. A dumb phone and a smartphone. Ooh, okay. Rocket and bullet cart. Okay. I can't scroll on this one, unfortunately, but I get a sense that you probably need to spend a little bit of time on this one, because prompts are the key part to using GenAI. So what if I were to ask you to try something different, which is try and ask a very specific question into your favorite GenAI tool, and ask this question: how would Satya Nadella describe the difference between GenAI and a normal search engine? Help me with an output that is not more than 140 characters. Can you just try that and see what answers you get? And while you're doing that, can I just request all of you at your tables, I'm sure you're probably using different tools from whatever we saw earlier. Can you just check how variable have your answers been? Are you getting different answers across? Okay, still checking, no worries, take your time. After this, as I said, this is going to be an accelerated HR session, so I will speed up the session, but the first check is how good is your prompt? Now, if you've already got the response from your favorite GenAI tool, let's move to the next aspect of it. Can I just check in your experience? What did you find are the key requirements for a good prompt? And please don't use ChatGPT or Copilot for this. This is just a question to you as users. Be specific, use persona, use keywords. Google hunts, AI thinks. All right, nice one. Keywords, clarity, absolutely. Aim. Keywords, persona. Add nuances, that's a nice one, nice one. Use role modeling, output orientation. Use role modeling, specification, specific answers, concise responses, focus words, detailed breakdown. Okay, maybe a few more of you can just tell me what is your experience. This is fantastic. So clearly, everyone's spoken about this, and I'm kind of seeing it across the board. Specificity is absolutely important, because your GenAI tool will only give you as specific an output as your question. In fact, one of the learnings I've had in this whole journey is that the real learning here is not prompt engineering, it is outcome engineering. What do you want as the outcome? If your question is specific, your answer will be what you want. If your question is going to be very generic, that's what you will get. And therefore, I would request you to please just try and practice this art, because every prompt, and I'm not going to go through across models, but at least the last set of models have said clearly, if you want to have a persona, like in this case, I used and I kept Satya Nadella because known person, tech industry. I gave it a bit of a question as to, okay, Gen AI versus search. But what was missing in this? What did we not put in the question? The purpose, right? And the audience. Thank you. What else? Love this. Purpose. Who's the audience? The format. Question framing, yes, I'm trying to figure out what are the questions that you want. So for example, you can actually tell the tool, do not answer until you asked me enough questions to give me the kind of answers which I want. Yeah? So next time, please don't use Gen AI like a tool like you use for Google. Please ensure that you've given a specific context, ideally a person or a persona. Give it specificity, clear purpose or objective. Who is the audience? What kind of output do you want? Right? Wonderful. Within the tables, what are the differences you noticed about responses from different tools? If you could just share on the Menti, please. It could be at the table, it could be in terms of your own experience of having used it. What is it that you've noticed? Various tools. I mean, we have discussed Gemini, ChatGPT, we use Claude, if you used Midjourney, Canva. Length of answers, could not check, different derivatives, ChatGPT was sharper, writing style, image generator takes time, yes. Copilot is generic, focus on responses, amount of information, depends on the prompt one is given, speed, faster responses. Anybody want to just shout out any thoughts on your mind? What are some of the fundamental differences? Same question, but if you ask to different tools, what changes? Tone. Thank you, Mama. ChatGPT gives you very sharper answers. Fantastic, fantastic. In fact, the first time I tried this tool, which gave me 5 different responses, I said, this is a class in DEI. Yeah, so the more diverse the responses. The one thing I would just caution you is you'll end up with a graveyard of ideas. There'll be information overload. So the one temptation, and I put this up purposely because all of us, something new comes out every second day. My suggestion is use what suits you, as long as you get the final outcome, as long as you've used outcome engineering as against prompt engineering, purely speaking. And then go with whatever that you feel comfortable with, please. Yeah? Okay, now you are on the spotlight. I have a fantastic group. I'm going to start brainstorming with all of you, outstanding professionals from the industry, and I can see a very diverse group. We're going to deal with a case study which is all about ambiguity, about anxiety, and algorithms. The HR team that discovers its new superpowers. So we have, well, I come from this sector, so I'm going to say an India-based FMCG player, sorry, couldn't help it, stares down economic, technological, regulatory, and societal headwinds, and they're asking HR to steady the ship while steering into the AI era. Are we up to it? Good afternoon. Okay, some of us are, some of us are still wondering what it's about. Let me ask you again to look back. I'm sure all of us in this room have managed change in some form. You've managed disruption. We've discussed volatility. We've discussed transformation. If you could just use this tool and just give me a sense of, on all these questions, and this I'm pretty sure we've all dealt with in some form or manner. We've all had scars of managing change, managing disruption, managing crisis. I mean, whether it was during COVID or it was digital transformation, or it was getting people to understand what happens when there is an organizational change, or as recently as probably November 21st, when the labor codes finally have been announced, all of us, I'm sure, are managing some form of change. Let's do a sense check. So, case for change was communicated clearly. Most people are saying that. Managers kept people continually engaged. Org leadership, org learned and adapted quickly. That's great to hear. Everyone was involved in making decisions. We're a little behind. People trusted leaders. Very important, leadership. HR had data-based feedback mechanisms. Ooh, okay. Now, 3, by the way, is my way of figuring out what's the moving average of this room at this point of time. That's the white line there. And if you look across the board, you've got everything from communication on the case for change, engaging, and the role of people managers in engaging people, how adaptive were organizations, how engaged were people in decision making, trust in leadership, and what kind of tools did HR have? Any last responses? I still see there are folks coming in. This is fantastic. I mean, Bala, Sonal, we've got live data here, yeah? So clearly, I mean, this is a case study of India Inc. in this room, HR professionals from across the board. You guys have just responded to a fantastic survey that gives me a sense that this is how HR in India manages change, manages transformation. And the one thing that I can clearly see is everyone involved in making decisions, okay, we're a bit behind. Case for change is being communicated. The role of managers seems to be coming through nicely. Adaptability of organizations comes through nicely. Trust in leadership is coming through. But we wish HR had a data-based feedback mechanism. Would you wish you would have had that at that point of time? Would you like to create one right now? Yes, good afternoon. Yeah, real time? Let's do that. So here's the situation, by the way, this also should be visible on your mobile phones, the screen here. So Sundara Consumer Products has ruled regional shelves for decades, but margins are thin, input costs are up, customer expectations are evolving faster than legacy processes can keep up. The board has approved, please note here, the board has approved another round of enterprise-wide restructuring. And that includes portfolio pruning, factory consolidation, a digital sales pivot, and a flatter operating model. The ask from the CEO to HR is, I need you to hold employee engagement, we just discussed that, rebuild trust in leadership, and accelerate the adaptability of the organization. Now, in normal circumstances, how would you go about and do this? How would a CEO typically do this? Anyone? Now, how would a CEO communicate these expectations from HR? How would they communicate that to the HR head? Have a conversation with the HR head, okay? Any others? Sorry? One of the options? How will you tell the HR head, and what will be the way in which you communicate that? Now, here's what one CEO did. Went to AI. And by the way, this is the actual prompter. So you can just copy paste, and we have tried this. You can just copy the screen on your Menti and paste the screen into your ChatGPT or Copilot or Gemini, whatever. It will read the screen and it will run the prompt. And I'm requesting you, take this challenge, run the prompt and you will have the email that in this case Asha Mehta sent to her HR head. Just copy. If you touch the Menti screen, are you able to do that? Yeah? So just touch the screen on Menti and copy paste that into your favorite GenAI tool and just say, run the prompt which is there on this screen or on this image. It will run it for you and you should receive a note. Can I check with the advanced users already? Anybody who's done it? Yeah? Orko, what do you have? You have the email? Yeah? Anyone else? Yeah? Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Excellent. Anybody else who's got the email so far? Yes? Super. Now, have you noticed that I've actually already put a structure in the prompt? Yeah? So what we spoke about earlier, there is a persona. Who's the person here? The CEO, right? And who is the intended audience? What's the context? What's it saying? All of what's mentioned there, right? Very clear. Specificity is clear, right? And the output is even mentioned in the exact format in which Asha wanted it, and also wanted to put in a mandate must include a measurable signal we will track. All of you in this room are the HR heads that Asha has written this note to. Okay? Up to it? Suddenly the energy is going. All right, let's go on. So, what else? Now suddenly Asha has written to you, and I will just say now in this case, Orko is my HR head. Orko is reading this note, and Orko says, oh, boss has sent me a message. And Orko now goes and does a study with CII. CII sends him a full report which says there are economic headwinds, tech headwinds, regulatory headwinds, societal headwinds. And oh, by the way, Orko, your organization is using yesterday's solutions to meet today's issues. What else? All of us in HR, I'm sure we know what this word stands for, right? I mean, we all have our own version of it. HR pain points. Teams are moving, roles are merging, uncertainty is creeping, water cooler talks are turning into WhatsApp threads. Managers are feeling the squeeze. Communicate, motivate, deliver every week with fewer resources. HR is not short of data at this point of time. I'm not going to read through each of these points, but what I'm going to say is, right now, Orko, as the HR head of Sundara Consumer Products, is struggling with a lot of noise, but not able to figure out what are the signals that he should act upon. Yeah, Orko? So you need some help, right? Who do we go to? Let's try this one. Same process. You can just, I've done the prompt for you. Just copy it, paste it into your favorite GenAI tool. And the idea here is, this time I've tried to equip Orko, the CHRO of Sundara Consumer Products. And Orko is going to try and, for his team's benefit, convert all of these pain points into an action table. Yeah, are we able to do this? Anyone having any problems on copy paste working out for you? Anyone's got the table up so far? Yeah. Does the table give you even a AI assist prompt at the end of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, the fields are pain point where it shows up data signal, business impact, quick win, AI assistant prompt.
So is this something that now you can kind of almost break down for your teams to say, listen, let's like divvy it up and let's really get cracking on this one,
absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Anybody else? Any other reflections? Anyone's tried this out? And again, if you want to go creative, be free. I just had to kind of do this so that we can run this session within the time which is available to us. I'm just going at speed here, so please bear with me. Otherwise, if you want to go creative, most welcome. Yeah? Okay. The key part, I'm going to just pause here and just ask you to reflect upon this one piece, which is, again, how we as people in the middle of change are dealing with this. Because disruption is not just about operations, it's really about something which is deeply human. And I've always found, every time that we've been in periods of change, I couldn't do one or the other. It was always an and. This and that, this and this. And therefore, the constant need to balance these three areas and juggle, right? So there's this whole bit about adaptability, keeping my employees engaged, and ensuring that my leaders are always there to lead from the front. Their tone matters. Yeah? So, here's your hero tool. I promised you that we will create a tool which will give you data-based decision-making live as we speak, as we manage change. Again, for the lack of creativity, I've just called it Org Pulse AI. Again, please feel free to use what you think is your preferred name. What will Org Pulse AI do for us? It will sense, predict, and help us act. It'll go from survey and sentiment to give you nudges and outcomes. Try and give you lead and lag indicators on these three pillars, and try and give you almost one organizational resilience score. And we spoke about resilience today. You can also derive some very precise nudges for managers in your organization. And you get some very interesting predictive alerts. So you go from dashboards to decisions, but in real time. Are we there? Again, if you want, I can give you the prompt for it. If you want to create your own, be my guest, but it'll take you a bit of time. So instead of that, just copy this entire prompt into your favorite Gen AI tool and see what you get. It has, and by the way, I've used here dummy data. If you want to do this in your own organization, please feel free to use all of this. I'm sure we relate to all of this. Engagement scores, leadership trust, adaptability, attrition, sentiment, well-being score, diversity. Decision latency basically is speed of decision making. Manager net promoter score. And ultimately, you want to convert all of these, right, a lot of noise, into signals, signals into insights, insights into action. Have you managed to get something, anyone yet so far? Yeah? Is it showing up some interesting insights, anyone? This one, by the way, has live data, so it should throw up some pretty interesting insights for you, which are very, very actionable. Okay, I can see there's a bit of buzz in the room. Good to see that. Yes, ma'am. What is it showing? Yeah. Can you get a mic across, please? Yeah.
So it is showing evidence, then the risk level, then the recommended action that we should take, and also who would be the owner of the processes like HR, BP, and managers, and what would be the timeline for the resolution of the same. So this is like inside
Normally, how
part
much
one.
time, ma'am, would this take? I'm sure we've all been part of projects. We've all dealt with this. Days and weeks?
Weeks, and probably a month also sometimes.
What the data is. Yeah. I'm still at a point where we are still debating कि data सही है कि नहीं है. Right? So single source of truth itself, I have a problem starting with. And now we're discussing about data to insights, insight to a table to now I get to the next part, which is, I think, something some of us will really appreciate. Because in moments of change, it is not just the data. What else matters? It was discussed in this room earlier on as well. In moments of change, it's not just data which matters. What else matters? Sorry? Resilience, empathy, right? So a lot of the human element which comes in. So I did this one for you. It's a bit of a cheat sheet. I converted that exact data into what I believe are very precise nudges. So these are 6 nudges you can try for managers, even giving them a sense or a coaching conversation saying, you know what, can you try your message today with maybe a 5-minute huddle today? It demonstrates empathy. Would you like to just maybe share one decision in your next update? Clarity builds trust. So in moments of change, you start changing the tone and you start building in micro behavioral nudges. You're now almost behaving like a behavioral scientist. In fact, in this case, I won't tell you who I picked, but I did a prompt and I used a very famous behavioral scientist. Those of you who, I use the word nudge, so I'm sure you know who it is. Please try this yourself. Be creative, enjoy the trip. As HR professionals, you wanted some help from a leading behavioral scientist, GenAI is at your service. Equally, your HR team, you want to give them alerts. Hey, if this picks up, I need to know. I want to put in a bit of a red, amber, and green. And by the way, who owns so-and-so? So in this case, attrition risk is more than 15% is predicted. Please work with HRBP and sales head within 48 hours, focus on retention. That's the kind of power that you have at your hand. How much time normally does this take in normal circumstances? The best behavioral science expert giving you what are possibilities for nudges and alerts. Yeah? Right. Excuse me. As I promised, we will create right now in this room the OgPulse AI dashboard. Now, given paucity of time, I won't be able to construct a live working model, but all of you, I think by now have the dummy data. You've got the insights, you've got the data, and you've got behavioral science insights, you've got nudges, you've got alerts. What if I said, can you put all of that into one single page and go back to, what's the CEO's name again, Arko? Asha, right? Asha Mehta, you can now go back to her and say, Asha ji, this is the one page for you. Again, same process. You can just, if you want, just copy paste this into your favorite GenAI tool, and you should see something quite interesting. Now, I would love to create this and make this into a live bit, but my sense is that we may not have the time at this point of time. So instead of that, I'll try and give you something which I created. By the way, this is real time. This is not some external ad agency who's done this. This is what I created. Yeah, and if I had spent a bit more time, this would have been a live data, live tool, working live at this point in this room. But I'm currently on Menti, so it's a bit of a static tool. What you have here is, it's an AI-powered, and by the way, this is your marketing pitch for your CEO. AI-powered, one page, 2 minutes bus, 10 better decisions. I mean, in moments of change, disruption, transformation, what do you want? You want to have really good, if not better, decisions. I've even defined what the construct is. So the top bar, you've got a resilience score. As I mentioned, it is a composite of adaptability, employee engagement, and trust in leadership. You've got an engagement trend. You have a drill down. You have a leadership trust heat map. You have an adaptability gauge. You have a speed of decision-making tool. You have some predictive alerts. And oh, by the way, I mentioned nudges. I mentioned micro-interventions. Did I mention that I have also got a change playbook? How many of us would love to have a change playbook, like a 30-day plan that I would love to manage? Yeah, been there? been asked, and how many of us have, where's Rupang? Is he still in the room? You've probably gone to Aeon or someone to kind of do this for you, and yeah, I can do this for you free. Which I did, by the way. And here it is. This is your 30-day playbook, Pulse AI driven. By the way, this is, again, linked to your dummy data, which I shared with you, linked to your nudges, linked to the pillars that we very specifically said that I want to understand how adaptive is my organization, how engaged are my employees, how inspiring are my managers so that I can maintain trust and leadership. And I'm also focusing on 2 other aspects, which I added, by the way. Additionally, I added employee well-being, which matters in moments of change, and how included am I in decision-making. Now, back to you. You're the job. Remember, we had to go back to, what's the CEO's name again? Asha ji. And Asha ji ko aapko वापस लिखना है. इस बार don't talk to her. Just drop her an email. But if you guys have ever heard Steve Jobs speaking, you know what he says, right? At the end of every typical keynote. Okay, clearly not a Apple fan group out here, is it? Just one more thing. Now, that one more thing is what people wait for. And therefore, I use Steve Jobs here purposely as the persona. So if you were to describe your tool, use Steve Jobs, and I'm not going to write the prompt for you this time. Just try it yourself. If you are Steve Jobs, and you're writing a 60-second pitch for a tool called Pulse AI, which is a Gen AI into HR tool that integrates organizational adaptability, employee engagement, and leadership trust. How would you describe that tool to your CEO? Please use your favorite tool, try for yourself, but I've given you the persona. What am I missing? The audience, right? The audience in this case, I said, is Asha ji, yeah, the CEO. What am I missing? Context, which is?
They're going through economic headwind and societal and just the headwinds that Asha ji is facing.
So you can now copy paste what Asha ji sent you, that same email, take her email, context वहीं पे आपका बन ही गया है,
Yes.
right? What else? So you've got a persona, the objective is clear, you've got the time, you want to make a 60-second pitch to her, the audience is clear. Okay, no worries. The outcome. The outcome is in 60 seconds, I want a 200-character, because Asha ji does not read long emails. So I want a 200-character message that goes to her. Not word, 200 alphabet or character. Has it changed now, the output? Yeah? Yes, it'll make it crisp, absolutely. But you get a tone which is Steve Jobs-like. You get a very, very clear response to what Asha ji, who has an attention deficit. Mahwas like smiling, yes, the kind of people that we deal with. Okay, for those of you who were not able to, I still kept the prompt. But in case you want to add this, please feel free. I put stuff like, the output should be a one-liner. I want the problem in one sentence. What does Pulse AI do? I want a killer insight. That's what Steve Jobs would use. I want a killer insight. 2 actions we will take, outcomes we expect, keep it crisp and non-technical. What Steve Jobs has done is pretty much that, right? I imagine all of that and you get a killer outcome. Let's see what you guys have. Oops, I'm not going to do this. Oops, sorry. Sorry. Yeah. Can you please paste your response? It should be available. Open text should be available on Mentees. Just paste your response from your favorite GenAI tool, and let's see what Steve Jobs' like response looks like. Oh, we already have one. Pulse AI redefines HR. It reads the organization's pulse in real time, boosting adaptability, engagement, and leadership. Not another tool. Your engine for human potential. Awesome. The GenAI X HR tool predicting resilience, fusing engagement, adaptability, delivers precision manager nudges to stop attrition and boost speed, masters destiny. Simplify, accelerate, lead. Stop guessing. Pulse AI gives you foresight, the real-time pulse of your org's resilience. This changes everything. I hope you got a sense, a real-time sense, and I'm just watching my time. But I hope you got a sense of, we began with a very clear context. The CEO was very specific, right? What did she ask for? 3 things to focus on, which were? 3 things she asked to focus on were? Moments of change, guys. What does the CEO want? Employee engagement, leadership trust, and how adaptable are we as an organization, right? And you've not only done that, you've created a tool, you've looked at insights, put into actions, created even behavioral nudges, created triggers for your own team, and made a single page tool, and now you're going to pitch the tool back to your CEO. How many of us have managed to kind of at least get a sense of the layout of Pulse AI? Just a quick show of hands. Yeah? Okay. Awesome. Well done. Well done. Well done. I'm going to just say, look, guys, I know there's been a lot of discussion out here in terms of, what is AI going to do? My take, this is my personal take, by the way, not AI. Gen AI augments human capacity, especially in high velocity change. Especially. My take is something like Pulse. I mean, I just called it Pulse AI. What we need in HR very often is to be able to separate the signals from all the noise. If you can convert that into nudges and outcomes, fantastic. And do it real time, awesome. One thing which I keep trying and doing, and in fact, as you heard from Bala and Sonal, was that this is an experiment for us. Thank you for joining us in this. But I encourage us in this profession to keep experimenting, guys. This is how we can do stuff in real time. Learn your prompts, share your prompts, build such prototypes, share it. Measure your micro wins, even that matters. And one thing I'll request is please do quality checks. AI is prone to, as you all know by now, hallucinations, right? And my next 3 steps as you leave this session is please try your own Pulse AI. Try and put in a weekly learning circle with your own team. Try prompts, sharpen it, try some results, refine it. Try doing a mini hackathon. Start with your HR team and then create a cross-functional hackathon. And if I can have one last response from you in terms of, if you can go to Mentee and just give me a sense of how are you guys feeling in the room at this point of time? As I said, 60 minutes to do what we probably would have taken 6 weeks, 8 weeks to go back to our CEO and respond to. Voila. Yeah, I'm just seeing the So I want to just leave you with one final thought. There's a fantastic. If you want to read up, please read a gentleman I follow called Ethan Mollick. Ethan writes about this almost on a weekly basis. But he sent something which was quite profound, yeah, which is AI is not the problem or solution. It magnifies your intent, right? Irada agar नेक हो तो मतलब it will magnify that. And therefore, whatever you put in it, it amplifies. If it's good, it becomes great. If it's bad, it becomes worse. And as I said, at the end of it, you can accelerate the outcome, but you can't define direction. You can reward clarity, or AI will reward clarity, but it will punish confusion. And AI mirrors your structure. It can never define your ambition. Yeah? I'll leave you with that thought and hand it back to Sonal and Bala.
Thank you so much, Tarun.
Big round
Big
of
round of
applause.
applause.
Big round of applause, Tarun, for you.
Since we are doing it for the first time, the one question that I want to add to the Minty, but we don't have it, we'll go back to the traditional way, is how did you find this workshop? Did you find this engaging, interesting? Can I have a show of hands? So that's like 90% plus. Huh? Well done, Tarun. I think that was fantastic.
There's absolute co-creation, and like you said, it was an experiment, which I think as a function we should keep doing. Yeah.
My God, rarely you get a kind of 100% on anything.
So was it better than
thank you.
Yeah. Oh, cool. I mean, thank you. Thank you, Tarun. So we come to the end of the workshop, and as promised, we still have 10 minutes. Sonal, what I thought we could do is that maybe between you and I, we could just kind of recap what we have listened and heard in the last couple of days. So let's take section 1, which is leading boldly. What is that one thing that stood out for you as a key takeaway?
So for me, what stood out was HR is central to building Viksit Bharat. And I think that the growth story of India, the potential of India really came up in every conversation. And human capital at scale, not just capital. And I thought that's something that I'm going to take back. And what about you?
Yeah, I think I totally get that. For me, what stood out, and I also connect back with what Suresh talked to us today, which is purpose-driven, authentic, honest, transparent leadership is so absolutely critical as we navigate disruption and change. And I think if you look at the whole concept that we've been talking about, it's about disruption, it's about how do you navigate change in this very, very volatile, VUCA, BANI, whatever you want to call it, world. I think inspiring leadership that is authentic, transparent, and people-centric is the absolute critical and must-have thing as we navigate change. So that's the thing that stood out for me.
So what about working futuristically? What did you learn the most?
So, working futuristically, I actually go back to this section. As I was sitting and participating in the workshop myself, it struck me that the future, AI is there, right? AI is going to be there, whether you like it or not, whether you accept it or not. You have two choices in front of you. Run away from AI and say that, hey, the world is going to be a dystopian world, as some of us do genuinely fear, and it's possibly fair to fear that way. Or the other option is embrace AI. And for me, as HR professionals, we don't have a choice but to embrace AI. And we have to be the voice of change and leading the change in our organization, because this is the future. So for me, working futuristically about how we as HR professionals help navigate the change in our organizations by embracing AI. And embracing not because AI is fashionable, or not doing AI for the sake of AI or because everybody is talking about it, but how do you leverage or enhance, how do you leverage AI to enhance your work on a day-to-day basis, right? And I go back to what we personally do at Colgate, which is essentially everything that you do in AI, including something like this that Tarun just walked us through, should ultimately lead to either efficiencies, for example, how much of time you've been able to save on a day-to-day job, or it should lead to effectiveness, right? An example that comes to my mind is, there's a lot of creative content that is being generated today. AI can actually do it much better than perhaps some creative agencies. So is it enhancing my day-to-day work? And how can I leverage AI to enhance my day-to-day work? We heard a lot of tools around well-being that we were talking about today. How can AI be leveraged to enhance the employee experience? So a lot of things that is about working futuristically that we as HR leaders have no choice but to embrace and actually be the voice of change in the organization. What about you?
So something that stood out for me was working in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. Find the talent, expand horizons, don't get restricted. It comes with diverse sort of backgrounds. I'm taking back a lot of inspiration. Otherwise we all sort of fall back with just what we need and what we want and what we know, but just expanding our horizon was something that, one of the things that really stood out for me. And second is, think about the next 15 years, 20 years, 25 years. That stood out. It's not about, am I able to do everything for tomorrow or the next year and so on, but I think that I'm taking back to say, how are you building your workforce? How are you building your organization for absolutely the next horizon? So that really stood for me.
And coming to the last part of it, which is elevating experience, what is that one thing that stood out for you?
So for me, the workforce ecosystem well-being and resilience. And I want to just emphasize on not just your organization, but there was a lot of conversation that happened on ecosystem, right? We are part of a larger ecosystem, and hence that really stayed up for me. How do you recover? What's your resilience? How do you reinvent yourself? How do you rephrase yourself? So that is something that I'm taking back, absolutely. And what about you?
For me, it's this whole thing of, and this is not new, but we keep talking about D&I a lot, and unfortunately, there's a lot of backlash in the West today about D&I. I think what we are doing in India is absolutely benchmark globally, right? And I think that's because in India, and I would urge all of you to look at it this way, is that ultimately what we are trying to do here is to have diversity of thought at the table. And we've heard some of the speakers repeat that a couple of times. Because there is genuine business benefit when you have diversity of thought, right? And diversity of thought will require diversity of representations. And we saw some fantastic examples of companies are using PWD or other forms of diversity to enhance the diversity of thought at the table. But it's not just enough if you have diversity of representation. You need to let these people, you need to have an inclusive workspace and a psychologically safe workplace where everybody can be their authentic selves and represent themselves in their true sense. Otherwise, you will not have that thought coming out, and therefore you will not have those innovation and all the great business benefits that come out of it. So ultimately, it's all about inclusion. And if we genuinely focus on making our workplaces inclusive, equitable and inclusive, then diversity of representation will follow, and therefore diversity of thought will happen. So I think for me, that has been the key takeaway as I've been listening to the different speakers over the last day and a half.
And I just want to build, on behalf of the core committee, it's been an absolute privilege and joyful to be co-creating the 2 days over here. I was speaking to somebody yesterday, and I was saying, this person was asking me, see, how are you sort of handling what's happening at home, what's happening in the business, what's happening in your work? And I must acknowledge and confess, this has been absolutely meditative. It's been so amazing to work with the core committee. Everything that you saw for 2 days is actually a brainchild of one or the other committee members. Like with Tarun, the conversation is what can we do when this whole thing came up? The whole thing about, Deepak is not here, but he said, can we bring a PWD band? So every single session was actually a brainchild of somebody who was part of co-creating, including with this amazing CII team, Jane, Orko, Madhulina, and everybody else. So I'm actually taking back a lot more inspiration beyond work, something that I can actually think about in my own sort of personal life as well. And, I've been sort of really in awe of a couple of things that I'm taking back. So big thank you to you on behalf of everybody for being an amazing audience and just sort of engaging and communicating. And Bala, how do you feel?
No, absolutely. I hope all of you are leaving a little bit more inspired than what you were when you came in terms of really building the future of India, right? I mean, and HR plays such a critical role in the vision of Viksit Bharat that we keep hearing about. And I hope the conversations that we've had in the last couple of days have helped you with a little bit more inspiration and energy and ideas and tools and tips that can help you drive that in your organization. So thank you very much.